Hey, what's up you guys? Today I'm going to be continuing my 2016 wrap up with books 21 through 25. If you haven't seen my last video, for some reason it wasn't showing up in people's subscription feeds, so I will leave a link to that in the card symbol and down below and you can check that out. But yeah, let's just get started. This is not the order that I read the books in, I'm just going to do it in the order that I have them piled here. So the 21st and 22nd book that I read in 2016 is going to be volumes 10 and 11 of Fairy Tale, which looks like this. This is the beginning to a new arc in the story, and so this arc pretty much follows Urza's past, like before she joins Fairy Tale. So it's really cool to start learning a little bit more about her life before she was in Fairy Tale, before she became a ridiculous wizard. This series, I've been doing a lot of research on manga because I'm not too informed on it. This is my first manga series that I've ever read, and I'm like really enjoying it, but apparently people have a problem with it because it can be somewhat fan servicey, which means that all the guys are like super ripped and then all the girls like have big boobs and stuff. But I haven't really noticed that too much. I mean, they do, they have bigger boobs and all the guys are like jacked. But I mainly read the story for like all the magic and like all the friendships and all of the like messages that it has, not just all the appearances of the characters. If you're curious to see what some of the artwork looks like, it looks somewhat like this, and I've just really been enjoying it. I can't remember which one I gave 4 stars to. I think I might have given both of these 4 stars or 4.5 stars or 5 stars. I don't know. I just really love Fairy Tale, so all of my ratings for Fairy Tale have been either 4, 4.5, or 5 stars. So really enjoying this one. Moving on. The 23rd book that I read in 2016 is going to be Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. This is the graphic novel version of the book. I just finished the Sea of Monsters not too long ago, so I decided to go ahead and read this, kind of compare the two and see how this did as a adaptation of the original novel, and I really did enjoy it. I think I gave this one 4.5 stars or 4 stars out of 5 stars. It does a really good job of hitting all the key points, and I think that the artwork was more consistent. I just think that this book did a really good job as compared to the first one. I didn't think that the first one did that good of a job, but this one was awesome. It was so good. If you kind of want to see some of the artwork, it looks like this. If you're wanting to kind of get into the graphic novels, I suggest it, but I would have lower expectations going in because the first one wasn't that great, and I think they only made the first 3 into graphic novels, so I'm going to try to find the 3rd one, and then just, I guess that'll be it, because I don't think that they're making the 4th and 5th ones for some reason, although they started making the Heroes of Olympus series into graphic novels, so I'm really confused on why they would just skip 2 books and then go immediately into the 2nd series, but they didn't. Okay, so the 24th thing that I read was The Red Knight by Miles Cameron. This is the first book in the Traitor Sun cycle, and I buddy read this book with a bunch of people, but it was kind of weird because people kept dropping out because this book is pretty long and all the chapters are very long, so you don't feel like you're making that much progress even though you are. Like, some of the chapters are like 70 or 80 pages, which is a very long chapter, especially for like a book. The writing is like pretty small, so sometimes I can find myself like struggling to get through the book because I wanted to get to the next chapter, but it was taking me a very long time because I didn't have enough time to just sit down and read 80 pages right in a row. So I really did like this book. It's about this guy named the Red Knight, and he is the captain of a group of mercenaries, and he's hired by an abbess to protect their like citadel. The abbess's citadel thing is being attacked by the wild, and the wild are just, you know, your creatures from myths, so like ogres and stuff like that. I mean, there's other names for them, and there's also a group of people that live in the wild, and so all of them are trying to attack the abbess's, you know, area, and it's the Red Knight's job to not let that happen and to keep the wild away from the abbess and all of her sisters. This book follows a lot of different characters. It has a lot of different POVs, and within a chapter it switches POVs multiple times, and so I at first was a little bit daunted because there's a lot of characters, and so it was just kind of hard keeping track of all of them and what they had done in previous parts where you follow their POV. But as time went on and as I got farther along in the novel, it did not become a problem at all, and all the characters are pretty different, so it's not like you're gonna mix one up with another one. So I think that this book is also criticized because some people say that it treats women badly, but the thing is that this is a group of mercenaries and they're thieves and murderers and stuff like that, and so these are like the worst people in society that you're following in this book, at least some of them. So of course they're not going to treat women very well at the very beginning, because as time goes on, the abbess kind of has an effect on them, and so they start becoming better people. Not all of them, but a lot of them start to, you know, go back and to fix their bad habits. But I really did enjoy it. I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars out of 5 stars because of the really long chapters that could be pretty slow, and the pacing was kind of off in those. And then also, there are so many errors in this book, like an insane number of mistakes in this book. If you want to get the series, get the UK editions, because they don't have all the mistakes that are in the American editions. So I'm really confused on that, but I do really like this book. I'm really excited to move on to the sequel and continue along in the series. The 25th book that I read in 2016 is going to be The School for Good and Evil by Saman Shinani. This is the first book in the School for Good and Evil series, and I buddy read this with everyone that I was with at YALLFest. So it was me, Sam, Kristen, Lainey, Marines, Kayla, Riley. Is that everyone? I'm sorry if I forgot someone. So this book follows Sophie and Agatha, and they're living in this town, and the town has this superstition that there is this school for good and evil, and every 4 years, 2 children are taken from the town, and there's 1 child taken for good, and there's 1 child taken for evil, and they know this because every 4 years or something like that, they get a book, and they can recognize the characters in the book as people from their town, and one of them is always evil, and one of them is always good. And so Sophie really wants to be taken to the school for good because she wants to be a princess and have a happily ever after. Agatha's an outcast in the town, and she lives in a graveyard, and her only friend is Sophie, because Sophie is kind of only being friends with Agatha because it's like a good deed and she wants to be seen as good. Obviously the 2 girls end up being taken for the school, but they get put in the opposite school. So Sophie's in the school for evil and Agatha's in the school for good. That's kind of what the premise of the book is, and then the story kind of starts from there. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I think that's because I didn't think that Sophie's character matured or changed at all throughout the story. She was pretty much the exact same at the beginning as she was in the end, and so I kind of wished that she had changed and kind of grew as a person a little bit more than she did, because there was definitely some promise for that to happen, but then it didn't actually end up happening. Agatha, however, changed a lot. I really liked seeing how Agatha changed her perception of the world throughout the novel, which was really awesome. And then I really liked the school setup. I really liked learning about the differences between the school for good and the school for evil, and the different people that went to the school. So it was like really funny. There was a lot of really funny lines as well. Agatha has a lot of really good one-liners that I thought were awesome. And I think that this premise has a lot of room for story, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of things that Saman Shinani can do in this series that I'm really excited to see if he does them or not. And the way that the book ends, I'm like really curious to see what happens next. So I'm really happy that I have the second book, and I'm hoping to read that one within the next few months, maybe April or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but I really did like this one. 4 stars out of 5 stars. So those are books 21 through 25 that I read this year. Again, if you missed my last video, go and check that out. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below what you've been reading, how you've been doing, anything that you want to tell me, let me know that. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.